join Telegram, come on, join Telegram, ya Vote TV. Just keep on pushing. Whichever way you can, una support. Now, tuanzia wapi? Let me first of all do an official presser for the Margaret Nduta story. Okay, so we're going to start. Today we're going to cover, I have two main topics today. Topic number one, okay, D himself, okay, someone like you see, like now, D himself, yeah, Jewy. It's actually exactly, today is exactly 14 days since our page was hacked. It's exactly 2 weeks now. So mtu kama D himself, unaona, amekuwa akinitafuta anioni. So D himself, can you follow the new page? So as you keep on watching the show, keep on dropping pale hapo kwa comment section, follow page, follow Vote TV new page, follow page. I want us to kue. We are a movement. We are a movement. So, tuanzia wapi? I've been documenting the Margaret Nduta story from a press perspective as Vote TV. And there is something I want to say, I want to tell you tonight. Number one, Historia ya Nduta, whatever is viral is also a virus. Okay? Whatever is viral is also becomes a virus. Remember that. That's why me personally, I never use the word viral and I never use the word trending. Let me warn you about those two words. That's why I never use the word viral and I never use the word trending. Because whatever becomes viral becomes a virus. Do we agree? And the perfect example is the Margaret Nduta story. The Margaret Nduta story is everywhere. You go on Twitter, you go on YouTube, you come on TikTok, you go to Facebook. The Margaret Nduta story is everywhere. And unfortunately, you find that so many fake pages are also being created, especially on Twitter. So many fake pages are being created on TikTok, assuming they know the latest news about Margaret Nduta. Now, me as Vote TV, I've been documenting this story from a perspective of bringing you official information from the government institutions, what they're saying. So, let me first of all debunk theory number one. Surprisingly, today, a clown on TikTok posted a video saying Mike Sonko has gone to Vietnam to negotiate so that Margaret Nduta cannot be executed. And what this clown did, he went to Mike Sonko's page, took a picture that Mike Sonko was standing next to some Chinese investors, took that picture, made a video and said, Mike Sonko right now is in Vietnam. Nonsense. Ujinga. Wanamoderi. Do you see how you get fooled every day on social media? Do you see how you get fooled every day on social media? Let me debunk some few theories that are circulating on this social media because people have lost their mind. And like Mike, let me play this clip on. That's my song.
Huyu jamaa anaitwa African Sponsor kwa TikTok anasema, acha nisome hii. African Sponsor anasema hivi ati Sonko has just landed in Vietnam to negotiate the release of Nduta Margaret.
Sonko has just landed in Vietnam to negotiate the release of Margaret Nduta. I mean, this clown took that picture of Mike Sonko standing next to some Chinese investors and made a video on TikTok. But guess what? Again, I repeat, when something is viral, it becomes a virus and people lose their sense of logic and they just think with emotions. That is exactly what happens. So you find even on that video on TikTok, a lot of people are commenting and they're commenting and they're commenting and they're commenting. And now because I'm here to give you to debunk all the craziness that is going on social media about the Margaret Nduta story. There is something else I also saw. There is a clown on TikTok and there is a clown on YouTube who actually even made a video saying that, oh my God, that Rich Kamunge and the Lillian are the ones who booked this. Is even shameful for me to talk about. Someone on TikTok just wakes up in the morning and makes a video with Rich Kamunge's picture and Lillian's picture and says, these people are the ones that are the agents that were involved in sending Nduta to Vietnam. Crazy shit. And by the way, I don't give yes, Rosie. It's crazy. Listen, do you know what's crazy? That video on YouTube has been watched over 227,000 times. Crazy. And guess what? People are just commenting. And listen, everybody here who's watching, all my VoTV family members, can you keep on typing in the comment section every 10 minutes? Follow a new page. And let me tell you something. Na hivyo ndivyo watu hupigwa vita hii social media for nothing. Someone can wake up in the morning and create a fake story and a fake story and put some pictures and there you go. Especially on this TikTok, because TikTok is toxic. Kenyan TikTok is so toxic that people have lost their mind and they cannot connect with what is real and what is fake. Zindio. That's why you have some clowns who come up with, Kenyan TikTok has become like a reality show. And because it's so toxic, people can say anything and they can post anything. So let me first of all debunk those two theories. The Mike Sonko story that he went to Vietnam, nonsense. The story of Rich Kamunge and Lillian, that they were the agents who booked the ticket for whatever, all that is bullshit. But who am I telling? It's easier to fool people than to convince them that they're being fooled. That's my favorite Mark Twain phrase of all times. I repeat, it's easier to fool people than to convince them that you're being fooled. Now, let me talk about the third theory that was on Twitter yesterday, and people were believing it. Now, let's come back to Nduta. Margaret Nduta was supposed to be executed yesterday. Correct? March 17th was when Margaret Nduta was supposed to be executed. Jana. And guess what? People on Twitter started posting, Margaret Nduta ameuliwa. Crazy shit. No, I'm in the East Coast. It's 4:33 p.m. It's 4:33 p.m. in the East Coast. So that's Twitter. They said Margaret Njoki has been executed. And people kept on believing the nonsense. People kept on retweeting. People kept on posting. People kept on retweeting. People kept on posting. I repeat, Mark Twain, it's easier to fool people than to convince them that they're being fooled. Let me continue. On Twitter, they have an AI tool called Grok. Grok. And so what happens, because it's an AI tool, besides when you post on Twitter, which is now X, when you post a tweet, next to your tweet, there is the AI tool called Grok that analyzes your tweet. And because there were so many people on Twitter saying that Margaret Nduta has been executed, what happened is Grok is an AI tool. The more you keep on saying that she has been executed, the more the AI tool says, okay, yes, she has been executed. That was another fake story on Twitter. What goes viral becomes a virus. And that's why even myself, I've learned a very big lesson, because a lot of my content goes viral. Carol, wait. A lot of my content goes viral, but there is one thing you never hear me say. I never say my stuff is viral. You never hear me say trending. And also, you realize I always attach myself to a story up to a certain point, because a good dancer knows when to leave the stage. Thank you very much, Carol. So Carol UK is asking, is Nduta coming back to Kenya? Now, let's look at the legalities, the legal challenges that our government is facing. And I'm going to give you listen, whatever I'm telling you, whatever I'm documenting, it's strictly what I'm watching on the government's page. The principal secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Korir, said, I've spoken to the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs in Vietnam. It's a female. And by the way, you know she's called Honorable Hang. You get it? Crazy, right? The universe is interesting, right? Margaret Nduta has been sentenced to death by hanging, and the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs in Vietnam is called Honorable Hang. Just by the way. Wait a minute, we're gonna get into all that. Pin that comment here, Chief Justice. We're gonna get into all that shit. So that's the official information. And they said they are negotiating. They are negotiating. There is nowhere that they said, oh, Nduta will be taken from Vietnam to Kenya. There is nowhere that we have any official statement saying that Margaret Nduta was executed yesterday. All that is bullshit, man. All that was bullshit. Bro, all that was nonsense. But on this TikTok, people don't use their brains. They think with their emotions. And you can manipulate people's emotions. That's the truth. Are we together? So let's move on. And I'm going to keep on repeating this. The nonsense, this nonsense that Mike Sonko went to Vietnam and is negotiating with Vietnam to stop the execution of Margaret Nduta. That's nonsense. Garbage, trash. These are the theory that Rich Kamunge and Lillian are the agents who booked the ticket for Margaret Nduta to go to Vietnam. It's also bullshit, bogus. But people will believe that because it's easier to believe lies and propaganda than telling people this is the truth. And people are so lazy that they don't want to read. Mam Rayhan, thank you very much. We're gonna get into that. Can you pin that comment, Mam Rayhan was saying it's given till May 6th to appeal the case. Allah Akbar. And if you look at all the major news networks in Kenya, which include Citizen, KTN, everyone is saying they are negotiating. Don't buy any other nonsense on this social media. And by the way, let me tell you something, because all Kenyans right now, they are flooded on TikTok. Don't buy any nonsense that is being spread on this TikTok. It's a sad thing that people have to wake up in the morning and start spreading lies because it's a trending story. Have you seen Margaret Nduta's family? Are you thinking about her family? Are you thinking about her mother? Ile ambayo iliniudhi kabisa of all theories. Hii ya Mike Sonko ni shadow. Lakini mwanamke mzima anachukua kamera anasema Rich Kamunge and Lillian ndio walibook ticket. And then she says sina lawyer. And you post it. Just to get some views. Rosie, I see you, Queen. Welcome to the new page. And people still buy that nonsense. You can post something like that for clicks and views. But this thing called the universe will come for you. This thing called the universe will come for you. Now, there is one thing I'm going to keep on pushing this message. My fellow Kenyans, Margaret Nduta ni Mkikuyu, right? But Kenyans, we are not here to be defined by tribe. Hii ujinga mko nao sijui Gema for Gema, Mera for Meras, Milaya for Milayas. That nonsense also has to stop. Do you know the senator? Because people don't think and people don't read. Do you know the senator who actually tabled the motion and wrote an open letter to Honorable William Ruto, the president, is from Kisii County? Hello? Hello? The senator who penned an open letter to Honorable William Ruto was from Kisii County. He was not from Kirinyaga, not from Kiambu, not from Nyeri, not from Murang'a, not from Sijui Wapi, not Sijui from Gema for Gema. Fuck that shit, bro. The only language, my fellow Kenyans, you should be preaching on this TikTok is called LLC. Not a company. Love, logic, and common sense. I am Kikuyu. But I will not be defined by my tribe. And all of you Kenyans. So let me tell you, and that was the question I was asking you folks. I was like, okay, now you come up with this shit. Okay? Gema, Gikoyo, Embu, Meru, Akamba. Fuck that shit. We have 38 tribes in Kenya. Sorry. We have 42 tribes in Kenya. What's going to happen with the other 42? With the other 38? What will happen? Kenya si Gema peke yake. Look, it's not a problem. Why can't we join hands? Why can't we join hands and say we're going to unite as Kenyans to build Kenyans for Kenyans? Can I get an amen? And guys, by the way, can you follow this new page? I'm going to keep on repeating this all the time. My Vote TV family page with 400,000 followers was hacked 2 weeks ago. I'm still pleading with TikTok to get my page back. But meanwhile, follow this page. Do you guys agree? Am I making sense? na ithuage koyo tureka atia bra 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 goko wana mutheri. Let me ask you a question. Nduta is a Gikoyo, but the Kenyans from all tribes joined together and were praying for Nduta. Do you think the Kisii people are like, usi Mkikuyu tutamwombea? Do you think the Luos were like, uni mtu wa Murema tutamwombea? No! So actually, the Nduta story is a wake-up call to us Kenyans that if we stand up and we unite, we can move Kenya to the next level. But if you divide, you fall. Am I making sense? So then there is something else I wanna, because I was reading, I read the open letter that Honorable Richard Onyonka penned to the president. There is something that he said. Na hapa itabidi niongee lugha ingine nionchanganya hii TikTok. Let me ask you a question. Nani ameona video ya Margaret Nduta vile alishikwa airport na kilo 2 za unga? Mikono juu. Have you seen the video? Kilo ngapi? Ngoja kwanza guys. Si pakiti ya nini? Si pakiti ya unga ugali na kwanga na nini? Ni how many kgs? Ni 2 kgs. Pakiti ya unga si 2 kgs. Sindio? For you to understand. Yes, she was arrested with what? With 2 kgs. And that's exactly 2,000 grams. Are we together? That's exactly 2,000 grams. Okay, perfect. So you can actually use that to leverage and to try to figure out and to see the quantity Margaret Nduta was carrying. Rose Comare, yes, listen, on the video it might look less. This is fine powder. The video can give you the wrong impression, but hata ukiangalia what they place on the table is allowed. Do you know how much is allowed? Do you know how much is allowed? In Vietnam, who knows the minimum? No, they're not pictures, they are videos, Mam Rayan. We have all the videos. You have to all make sure that you're in the right platform. Do you know what's the minimum? Okay, let me give you an example. Ray is saying 600 grams. Thank you very much. Pin that comment by Evermore Studios. The minimum is 100 grams. That's the Vietnam Penal Code 2015, which was actually revised in 2017. The minimum you're allowed is 100 grams. If you are arrested with more than 100 grams, or anything from 100 grams, you'll be sentenced to death in Vietnam. Now, I've been doing my research, bro. Every second month in Vietnam, dozens of people are executed because of madawa ya kulevya. They have different, go check, I've read the penal code. The penal code 2015 Baba Imani in 2015 was 600 grams. But in 2017, it was revised. It's 100 grams, Babu. Go check the Vietnam Penal Code, 1917, paragraph 149 and 150. Westkap, Westkap, noch nicht. Noch nicht. Okay? So, I'm gonna give another perfect example. In 2013, an American citizen by the name of Jason Dean was arrested in Vietnam en route to Australia kama amebeba madawa ya kulevya in his underwear. If you look at the bag that he was carrying, it was like this small. Alikuwa amesunda unga kwa ngodha. He was arrested and he was sentenced to death. That was 2013. And then they went through the process. There was a question about the quantity. They said, no, it was less, whatever. And then the execution was scrapped off. Let's come back to Margaret Nduta. Nduta was arrested July 2023. Now it's March 2025. That's over 18 months. Let's look at the legal challenges that the Kenyan government is facing. Number one, we don't have any bilateral agreement with Vietnam. We don't have a Kenyan embassy in Vietnam. And with that said and done, there is no prison transfer agreement that can occur between these two countries because of the lack of bilateral agreements. So everything that the Kenyan government is doing right now has to be negotiated through Bangkok. Welcome everybody. And guys, mukingia hapa. This is a new page. This is a new Vote TV page. Thank you, Lucy Joseph. Thank you. Follow our new page as we still await for our old page to be recovered. Okay. Now, Mash, I've seen your comment. That has also been a discussion. People are saying, this looks like it was not the first time she did that. You know what I say? Whether it was her first time or her 10th time, I'm going to let Margaret Nduta tell that part of the story. I will not make any speculations. But yes, of course, there are people who are on these social media blasting any kind of nonsense that you can think about. Now, this is the interesting part. Another theory I want to debunk. The Margaret Nduta story also becomes political. There was a group of people on social media who actually made some very interesting flyers and some very interesting videos saying President Uhuru Kenyatta is the one who called the president of Vietnam because the Vietnamese president refused to talk to President William Ruto. Sounds interesting, right? Do you buy that nonsense? Did you buy that nonsense? Did you buy that shenanigans? People saying that former President Uhuru Kenyatta is the one who called the president because the Vietnamese president refused to communicate with President William Ruto. And then the whole shenanigans, they start, oh, because Ruto is this, Ruto is that, blah, 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 blah. People, you hype the noise on social media and you forget the facts. Nowhere do we have any public confirmation that Uhuru Kenyatta or Ruto called the president. But we have, on public domain, confirmation that it was a communication between the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Kenya, the Office of the Foreign Affairs in Kenya, and the Office of the Foreign Affairs in Vietnam. Kalas. Fucking common sense, bro. Now you involve Uhuru Kenyatta and you start making some flyers and you start posting some videos and again, I repeat, Mark Twain, it's easier to fool people than to convince people that you're being fooled. We are living at times where people will believe anything on social media than even what they read on the Bible. You can come on this social media and tell people that you can kill. Then you tell them the Bible says, thou shalt not kill, and they will say you're lying. We have lost common sense. Do we agree? Do we agree? Oh, yeah. And by the way, you can enjoy your shenanigans. And I kept on saying that this TikTok will keep on getting so toxic that a point will come that there will be nothing on this TikTok than just umbea, moshene, and chai. That's exactly where you are. You will always reap what you sow. You cannot plant mahindi, uvuna makorofia. Doesn't work like that. The universe does not work like that. If you plant hate, you'll harvest hate. If you plant love, you'll harvest love. Are we together? Let me tell you something. If you come on this TikTok and you believe everything you see on TikTok or you consume on TikTok, even you really need to go and get accessed. And you need a doctor. That's where we are. And even the Margaret Nduta story is a perfect example that people can wake up in the morning and they can post anything, that they can open up lives on TikTok and on YouTube and on Facebook, and they can say anything and the masses will believe. We have lost the sense of logic. But who am I telling? Mark Twain. It's easier to fool people than to convince them that they're being fooled. We are living at times where we have technology. We are living at times when we have smartphones. We are living at times where we have artificial intelligence. We are living at times when we have the most powerful search engines and the best ones since God created Adam and Eve. There was no TikTok when Moses was ordered by God to go to Mount Sinai and pick up the commandments. There was no Facebook when Moses rescued the children of Israel from slavery in Egypt. Our grandparents did not have the pleasure of talking to their husbands and wives on video. But they maintained their marriages for 60, 70, or even until death did them apart. Don't push this thing on Gen Z. The last thing you want to come and talk to me about is Gen Z nonsense. I'm not buying that talk. Common sense has nothing to do with whether you're a Gen Z or Gen X or millennial. It's about you. Margaret Nduta. The other official statement that I want to make. According to Honorable Richard Onyonka, who filed the petition and penned the open letter to President William Ruto, he said the government should have intervened in Duta's case long time ago. I agree. Mbona history ya Nduta aligojea tu mpaka ile wakati amesema tiende akanyongwe? That's when everybody was speaking. That was a mistake. Then number two, and this is the part we want to make very clear to everybody. The attempt right now is to save her life. But even if she comes to Kenya, which we all pray and wish for, if she comes to Kenya, she will still have to face the legal repercussions. Let me ask you a question. Since July 2023 up to now, why didn't the family talk about it? But from what I've heard, even the person who was on the forefront and was trying to push about it and came up with the story, he was even told by the family, don't come to our place. So I do believe No. March, I think you came in late. Again, social media being misused. Again, what is viral becoming a virus. People waking up in the morning and saying that Rish Kamunge and Lillian are involved in the case is nothing but just pure garbage and pure trash and pure lies and pure propaganda. But it's easier to convince people with lies than with the truth. Are we together? Are we together? It's so tough to tell people you are being fooled. And that's where we are with this social media. What we know is what is on public domain from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. What I'm telling you tonight, don't buy any other crap and don't buy any other theory and don't buy any other lie. These people are just there for the clickbaits, and clickbaits only. That's a sad reality. And even I think I saw a comment from one of our brothers, Chief. Yes. Yesterday on Twitter, people started posting, Nduta has been killed. Nduta has been executed. You know what they started doing next? You know what they started doing next? They started taking Nduta's picture, typing RIP, and posting it on Twitter. Right now, nobody knows. We only know what was updated on Monday and nothing else. But when people just become so impatient, they start making their own speculations. Ever imagine Familia Nduta, they wake up and they start seeing flyers of Zimandiko RIP. You guys think that TikTok is toxic? Get on Twitter. You think TikTok is toxic? Twitter is fucked up. And because there is an AI tool called Grok that is analyzing everything which is being posted, the story of Nduta being executed was so hyped on Twitter that even the AI tool that is analyzing all the posts to tell us if it's true or not started saying, oh yes, Nduta has been executed on March 17th at 8:20 p.m. Ain't that scary? Ain't that scary? Now, because I'm a Twitter user, I don't rely on any fact from Grok, because I realized this AI tool is just analyzing what is being said. And if, let's say, let me give an example. Let's say 1 million people post on Twitter that Nduta has been executed. Do you know what they will do? Do you know what the AI tool will do? The AI tool will exactly believe that Nduta has been executed, and the AI tool, which is Grok, will give the same output. Sad times we're living in. And that's the truth. Have you seen Nduta's family? Have you seen her mother? Have you seen where they come from? Have you seen? Have you looked at the structure of the homes where the houses or the homes where she comes from? Does it look like she comes from a background that is so wealthy and so rich? Does it? Does it? You know, there are those things you just look at and you go like, man, this one right here, this is tough. So who are we to question why she did it? Who are we to question? How many of you are here who left Kenya to go and seek greener pastures because you come from the same place like Nduta came from? Huh? So what makes you think you're better than Nduta? Huh? Let he who has not sinned cast the first stone. Some of you who actually are living outside Kenya or who left Kenya, maybe you went to Gulf, washe Mwarabu matako, and then come and cry on social media how Mwarabu anakutumia na vile munauliwa. That is not different. This is someone who was trying to provide for her family. I'm not defending the crime, but I'm not questioning the act. Hii serikali ya kasongo ya chapati. If someone came to you and told you, look, are you hungry? You need food? You can take these 2 kgs of unga and take them to Vietnam, and I will pay you 167,000 shillings. Trust you me. Somebody will say yes. Kani mbaya mbaya. My children are hungry. My family is hungry. And I need to put food on the table. And they will say, kama ni mbaya mbaya. If I have to go to Ethiopia with the bus, I will do that shit. If I'll have to walk, I will walk. And with that said and done, let me welcome my brother all the way from, he'll introduce himself.
Thank you, VoTV. Before I even start, man, I don't know how much I should thank you. You have been a credible voice, a bold voice. You have your own family, you have your own life. You are a very comfortable person, but you just decided to do this, out of your own will. And
yeah,
I mean, it is said it's only God will choose the few to speak for the many, and
that's
you
right.
are one of the chosen, ndugu yangu. Don't feel like you are doing this alone. You are really becoming a very, I mean, you are already a credible voice, and whatever you are speaking really makes sense to us. And in this month of Ramadan, you are the people whom I will always pray for.
Wow.
You are the leading face of Kenyans in diaspora, and you've always been ahead and doing these things. And ndugu yangu, when I received the news of Nduta, and I was asking myself, there was a similar situation that happened in Rwanda, and it took Rwandan government like very immediate intervention, because for them, a Rwandese citizen is a sovereign, a supreme citizen of the country. And even Kagame had to go and talk face to face with the leader of that country. I'm yet to check, but I will tell you, they had to do what they call prisoner exchange. They said,
yes,
this person, fine, he has been found on this, but how about we try him or her on the Kenyan law, on the Kenyan land, and in case we have any kind of a drug cartel or any kind of a problem with Thailand or any kind of stuff, we will do a similar exchange. This is what Americans do. This is what other communities do.
That's right.
Because Nduta's story today, she is not a voter of Thailand. She is not a citizen of Thailand. She is not under any jurisdiction to be prosecuted through a Thailand's law. She has every right to be prosecuted kama amefanya makosa through the Kenyan law or through the international law.
That's right.
All I'm saying, ndugu yangu, this is embarrassment to our embassy. This is embarrassment to our sovereignty. Leave alone even the story and Nduta. The way our people have been abused in the Gulf. Kuna some countries wanaona ni kama embarrassment. Wanaona ni kama,
that's right,
this is going to tarnish our image. Let's do a deal. Let that person be brought. Kama Nduta amefanya hiyo makosa, wafanye exchange, aletwe Kenya, akuwe na fair trial huku, akipatikana ni sawa, na asipopatikana pia, she will be fairly prosecuted under the Kenyan law.
That's right. And by the way, Dido, as we continue, by the way, this is my brother all the way from, if I'm not wrong, it's Isiolo.
Yes.
This is a candidate from Isiolo. And by the way, Dido, as we continue, do you see why I talk? That's why even at the beginning of my speech, I'm rebuking this so-called gamer for gamer nonsense, because Kenya belongs to everyone. It doesn't belong to only a specific a specific group of Kenyan communities. But anyway, there is something that you've said that I also said yesterday. There can be a prisoner's swap, right?
Yes.
Look, for example, even like with Israel and the Palestinians, right? See, that's what they're doing. Even if it's fucked up what's going on there, which is actually none of our business, but I'm going to use that as reference. They exchange prisoners, and Kenya can do the same. Now, there was a key question in that on that subject, Dido. Do we have any Vietnamese prisoners in Kenya? Do you know that?
I think that is a question we can inquire, but there is an intervention, and the intervention I want to give is a similar situation. You remember the Artur Sagastian brothers from Armenia?
Yeah.
In 2003, these two brothers were found guilty of drug cartel and drug smuggling in Kenya during Kibaki's government. And the Armenian government said, actually Artur Magarian and Artur Sagarsian, they are far much worse than Nduta, because Nduta might just be used as a pawn, but these ones are the dealers. These are the key actors. The Armenian government reached out to Kibaki and told them, handle the guys to us, we shall prosecute them under our law, and in exchange, we are going to do some key trade agreements and concession, and if we are going to foot the fines that is equivalent to what Artur Magarian and Artur Sagarsian brothers did in Kenya. You know?
Yes.
So this is something that has happened in Kenya before. And the way government works together in embassies and in consulates and everything, there is what we call compromise. They will say, okay, fine, Vietnam. Currently, Kenya imports a huge chunk of electronics from Vietnam. Be it phones, semiconductor chips, electronics, a lot of them from Vietnam. Even watch, this Casio watch and everything you see in Kenya is from Vietnam. So if they will say, let us calm down, let us tone down the pressure, what we are going to do, we are going to prosecute and we are going to foot any kind of constitutional and legal damages Nduta has done to your country in exchange of few trade, economic, or any kind of consular relations that we are going to establish. That can be done. This is very easy. And mind you, this has been happening in international law system, Brother Vu. When you look at the Russian-USA prisoner exchange, most of the people who have been exchanged for
Iran,
and most of them are, these are secret agents, espionage, these treasonous acts, leave alone Nduta. These are people who have leaked government intelligence.
I like that. That's a point for you guys to take note. Way worse.
These are people who have leaked government intelligence. This is far much worse. This is an espionage level, and still there was an exchange that was done. Mind you, so for Nduta's case, one thing, I will be honest with you, it's only that Kenyan foreign policy doesn't care about its people. Honestly speaking, Kenyan foreign policy is not people-centered. Kenyan foreign policy is economic interest-centered. If today Nduta is a son, or if Nduta today...
But then, as we continue, let me listen. You know, I always give you your flowers. Let me read this comment from Rose G as we continue. The comments are commenting. Somebody's saying, I can listen to this dude all day. Brains on another level. If you come to Vote TV, this is what you get. If you come to Vote TV, you get knowledge. If you come to Vote TV, you get motivation. If you come to Vote TV, we speak the language of logic. Not Umbea, not Moshene, not that nonsense. Go ahead, Brother Dido.
If today Nduta could have been a daughter, a son of a minister, a former leader, I'm telling you, it will not even take a day for Nduta to be home.
Woo!
But simply because, this is the reality. This is the reality. I'm not lying to you. If indeed she came from an elite class, if Nduta today came from an elite class, It
Yes.
will not have even taken 1 day for her case to be processed. But simply
Yes.
because she is a normal struggling Kenyan, she doesn't have any economic benefit to the Kenyan ambassador there, she will be handled
Yes.
by just like any other case. That is the sad reality, honestly speaking. That is the sad reality.
Wow.
In this country, my brother, in this country called Kenya, you remember the Akasha brothers, the people who are poachers, who were extradited to America 4 years ago.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
America reached out and they said, hey guys, those guys who are poachers, they did not kill our elephants, but the transaction they did, they used American dollar and American financial system. Bring them to New Jersey. It took Kenya 2 days.
For them to be extradited.
It took Kenya 2 days for them to be extradited to New Jersey, and they were tried there.
That's right. That's right.
You remember the case of Njoroge, the Kenya Power and Lighting Company Director General, who stole some money and they stored it in New Jersey Bank. And America said, fine, the money that was stolen was Kenyan, but they used our financial system, extradite them.
So
it's only that she's a poor Kenyan. She
That's
is
right.
struggling. Hana mtu wa kumwongelea. If indeed John Waluke was convicted by the Kenyan government and fined 797 million, the MP for Sirisia or MP for Mumias, John Waluke, and he was released he was bailed by the government and he was convicted to pay 797 million. That is almost 1 billion, and he was released. John Waluke is President Ruto's best friend now. So Nduta's case is a tiny thing.
okay, yeah.
That is it.
Welcome to
It's
both
only
people.
that- It's only
Yes.
that she is a daughter of nobody. She is not an elite.
right.
She doesn't have any economic benefit. This is just what Nduta happened to Nduta today is embodiment of how frustrated are we as Kenyans that we don't have jobs in this country. We
Yeah.
go out of our levels to get
That's
into problems and we get tried in another country. This should be an
That's right.
embarrassment to President Ruto's government. Okay? Yeah, this is it. What made Nduta to be in Thailand today is not because of our wish, because there are no jobs in Kenya and the ones that are available will only go to the sons and the daughters of the rich. That is the reality, ndugu yangu. Those are my 2 cents, and I believe Kenyan government, let me be honest with you, they've been doing this. Kenyan government, they hid Joseph Kony for 16 years. And Kony was in the lookout of Interpol. He was staying here in Nairobi. The NRM leader, Joseph Kony, the fugitive, Joseph Kony was here. Okay?
Was in Kenya.
He was in Kenya, Joseph Kony, all this time. And so this Nduta's case,
Living lavishly. Living like the guy was actually living lavishly. He was having a good time.
that is it. If indeed the Kenyan government really cared, President Ruto cared about Kenyan foreign policy and the benefit of Kenyans, this is something he could have done in a span of seconds. But simply because she's not a daughter of anyone, she is not a daughter of elite, she's not a daughter of a Kenyan oligarch, she's not an industrialist, so her case will be used as an example, unfortunately. But if there is somebody who, even through one call, if indeed in America, through the call of the governor, they can postpone lethal injection for the prisoners who have been put on death row, then what is in Nduta's case?
That's right. That's right.
What is
Do we?
Nduta's case? Yeah.
I just like the way you break it down. You say, like she's not a daughter to a minister or an oligarch or a powerful individual in the government, and she's just an ordinary Kenyan, or like any other Mama Mboga or any other Mama Wanjiko. That's why her case is being handled like this. If this was if Nduta, for example, was a daughter of someone who is in power or in a position of power, this could have been a high-profile case that could have been taken care of very, very quickly. Now, up to now, and I've been looking at all platforms, and I've been looking at all his platforms, not one single word from President Ruto. What do you say about that?
You know, Vu, there is what they call in international relations shadow diplomacy. So shadow diplomacy is a kind of a diplomacy where head of states talk to each other. There is a channel that has been established across all the presidents in the world. In a click of a second, every leader in this world, they have a channel of talking to each other. They call it shadow diplomacy.
Yeah.
So today, Ruto will just press a button and he will tell the leader there, hey, this lady, this case, we've shared history of consular relation, trade relation with Vietnam. We can have few concessions, we can have few compromise, but let's bring Nduta home. Then we talk after that. I'm telling you, it will only be a matter of seconds before Nduta is brought home. That is the case. The same case happened with that young man on top of Mount Everest who died 2 years ago. His body is still on top of Mount Everest. And the Kenyan government was told, pay 8 million and the body will transport it back. Up to now, that young man's body is still on top of Mount
It's
Everest.
still there.
I forgot to mention his name.
Let me actually, I'm gonna dig into that as well.